lines and the boundaries of ESD3 and what was to be taken over, as that historically parts of the Vernia EMS service area apparently it seems to be changed, and they were not included in this last election, even though some of the citizens were led to believe that it was. Maps were shown that it did include it, did come down 775, and did include the fire station that ESD3 is going to be housing one of their ambulances in. So the question comes in is now these citizens who have took an active part in getting this approved through their actions and their voting are now being disallowed having this service. So this does create some disappointment, but also creates a future problem as to we are not ESD2, we are not ESD3, we are in no man's land. So the question is, do we have any plans in order to take steps to remedy this? And does it need to be to get that fire station included as a temporary situation need to be created through the county or through this board, or is it going to take an election? And then possibly what other steps we're going to do to take those other affected areas that are lying in no man's land that cannot be annexed by ESD2, but should be having the opportunity to be annexed by ESD3. Any comments?
Do you happen to know how many people like you voted?
Do we, ma'am?
Do you happen to know how many people?
I do not know. I do know that during the election, because of the maps that we had available, and I was at the election booth many times while this was going on, that the people that were monitoring the election had to turn away many of the citizens who came in who wanted to vote because said they were outside the line. So the maps that we were using at that time during the election showed them out, and I even sat there and explained to myself why these people were not able to vote and why they were not allowed this opportunity.
But it didn't show you to be out.
Did not show me to be out.
Have you gotten your thing from the county about what your tax is going to be next year?
Yes.
Does
And
it show that you're going to be paying tax?
There's no taxes for ESD. It says ESD,
This year?
ESD, but it doesn't say on there which one it is. But I'm sure it's going to be the ESD1. But there's no division as to whether or not it's ESD2, ESD3. But the latest map that David has shown me and what we talked about is that we're in this mutual agreement area now of being serviced by EMS from ESD2, but we are not a member of ESD2 and pay no taxes in that area.
This map here, this map is the map that was at each of the election sites that I showed you just a little bit ago.
You what, sir?
This map that I showed you just a little bit ago?
Yes, sir.
This is the maps that was at each of the voting locations.
Okay.
His property, District 3 line, and then his property, I mean, it's all right there together. And the problem is you know, he historically has known his property to be serviced by the Vernia EMS. And the truth be known, yes, it used to be. But, and I don't know the specifics as to when, but within the last couple of years, the county had changed it, or changed those, the coverage area, and extended District 2's lines all the way up to, well, past Thomas Lane, would be past his property, on what would be, I guess, the north side of 775. Whereas before, which is what he's used to, the Vernia EMS had actually gone all the way to 34, 32 and covered up in the Kitecaster area. And so, I guess that's what's causing some of the confusion of what he was known and what was reality. Whenever we presented the petition with the map that accompanied the petition, it was specifically for the Vernia EMS coverage area. And, you know, so whoever lived in the Vernia EMS coverage area, that's who was included in the annexation.
Now, on our part of this, we're planning on housing an ambulance over there, but it's not going to even be in the district.
The ambulance, or the District 1's fire station number 2, again, here is no man's land,
You know,
right here, so
Right there,
basically,
yeah, it's
it's,
right on the line.
so basically, it's this side of the street, of 775,
Right.
is in district, or is in no man's land, and this side of 775 is in District 3.
But that's on the other side, isn't it?
Station 2 is on the north side of 775, it sits right there on the corner, so, yes.
So we're kind of gonna be in a little,
Well,
Or it doesn't matter where we have it?
No,
Okay,
that part of it doesn't matter, but what's gonna cause a little bit of, I guess, confusion, it's gonna cause a little bit of heartache for some people is, when we're slated for an ambulance to be placed there in 2020, and when there's a call that's in Ticaster or, near his property, and you're having a District 2 ambulance that's driving past that station,
To
where
get
our
to the
ambulance is
ambulance.
sitting, it could have been there minutes faster.
right.
And so, the only remedy to this is, there's two options, one option being a temporary option, and that is going to the county and saying, hey, and of course, this is gonna be up to board approval, with, placing this on the agenda and all that, if you are even in agreements with it, which I'm sure, that wouldn't be a problem, but, is getting the county to adjust those lines, to take in Scott's property or readjust those lines in general for that area. But ultimately, it's gonna come down to, the citizens of this area that's in no man's land petitioning this board to annex that area again.
Where do we go now? Do we go all the way to 775 and
Well,
Salt Spring Drive?
that area is very complicated, okay, because over near Scott's property, we covered the south side of 775, okay? And we covered the south side of 775 all the way down to the Woodlands, okay? And then all that area south. On the north side of 775, we stop right at Scott's property, and then it goes no man's land all the way down till you get to, right before you get to Vintage Oaks, that subdivision down there. It takes in that subdivision, comes back out, and then goes back to being no man's land.
So, right now, if Scott calls, ESD2 would respond.
I called dispatch to verify, in doing the research, trying to figure out what happened here. I called dispatch, ran his address, and it comes back as being, District 2 is gonna be the ones gonna respond. It's that no man's area, when we say no man's, it's not covered by an ESD, or it's not included in an ESD. Right now, it's being covered under a contract under District 2.
What, stop me if I'm off base on this, but I heard from someone in Vernia EMS that they wish we had done something with Ticaster at the same time we did Vernia.
Yes.
Would we want to address all that at once? with
Well,
this?
there was nothing that we could have done about that.
Right.
I mean,
But
we were presented with a petition that accompanied with a map, and that map included the Vernia EMS coverage area. And it was the Vernia EMS coverage area, as of, last year, not historically what their area was.
I'm thinking that Ticaster would like us to cut, that's what I heard, they would like us to
Not
cut.
all, we're fixed the same way we were in Vernia. They have got to come up.
That's what I mean, just could it be all addressed?
This sort of comes to something that I've been, certainly have on my mind, that we need to have some future planning.
Yeah.
And to clean up some of this, should be involved in that, and as well as where we're gonna put a new station that needs to be central, there needs to be some planning, and, somebody with a big map, and also with some input from people in those other areas, because we can't afford to have an election every time some little group wants to bring a petition, but if we've thought ahead enough that we've got a plan to amalgamate some of those groups that may in the future want to be annexed, I think we need to have.
Well, I mean, you're absolutely correct. There have been citizens that have called the office saying, hey, we want to be included in District 3, what do we need to do? Now, of course, I'm talking areas all the way from down around Kosciuszko area, all the way up, and of course, we've heard from citizens that live in the Ticaster area that want to be included in District 3. Those all can be done at the same time, but again, it's not, we can't form a petition.
But we should have a plan to accept it.
Well, that's what's good about now is actually, after 2019, or the end of 2019, 2020, is that we should have the finances and the capability of handling all right now, we really didn't. I mean, we were stretched to the
Yeah,
max as
exactly.
we could
But I think we
with
need to be
ambulances.
looking ahead to
Yeah.
where,
Right,
the
but
next
you're right,
step.
yeah.
I think somewhere we need to get all of, like you're talking about, instead of, or Ginger's saying, instead of doing this one and this one, some way to get all that much together and say, y'all all come together as a
And that
group.
may be some kind of future planning group
Right.
that we put together,
Together.
a community outreach group that we put together.
Because we'll be right back in the same situation if we do one and don't do the other.
But for now, we have an emergency.
What could we do to alleviate some of the, you know,
Well, to get him included, or to get Scott and, you know, if there's other, some of his neighbors wanted to be included in it, on a temporary situation, you know, if the board approves it, you know, we could, I could approach the county and say, hey, we, you know, these citizens that came to us, they want to be included in District 3, you know, so under a contract with the county, you know, we could do it under a temporary thing until a long-term solution is, you know, remedied.
I mean,
That long-term being, you know, we would have to be petitioned by the citizens of that area.
But if they had voted for it, I mean, if.
We had provisional voters, there was people that showed up to vote, okay, to where, you know, like Scott said just a minute ago, we had people from Kaicaster area that showed up to vote, you know, and if it was clear that they live in Kaicaster, then yes, they were turned away. But then there's those that live right on the line, because some of the line was, this side of the road was
So
in,
those were done as provisional votes?
and so it was done to provisional votes, yeah.
All of them, I mean,
There wasn't very many of provisional votes, but
Okay.
yes, those that were identified were done as provisional votes.
was yours as a provisional one?
No, this was not.
But I think
Slip
part of
up.
the problem was the survey didn't come in until late in the process, because the whole thing
Well,
was so compressed.
Well, it was compressed, but like I say, in this particular case, I think it's a matter of assuming and confusion. You know, Scott assumed and thought that he was in the Vernia EMS coverage area the
Well, I
entire
did
time.
With good reason.
Yes, with a good reason, because he used to be.
Right.
And I say, I mean, when I say recent changes, it's within the last year or two that those changes have came about, to where a lot of that real estate there was taken out of the Vernia EMS coverage area and contracted with District 2 to provide services.
So do we need to put this on the agenda for
Yeah.
future
Well,
meeting to?
Well, as far as
Or do you-
if we want to approach the county, I mean, I can start talking with the county. I mean, if that's what we want to do, to try and get some of that area contracted under District 3 for the citizens that want District 3 service. But as far as a long-term solution, there's not really much to do there until the citizens petitions.
And that doesn't solve Scott's problem either, really.
Well, I mean, it solved his problem as far as on the temporary solution, as
Yeah,
far as getting,
but
you know,
not
if they call
as well.
911, it'd be.
I just can't see us passing up a house.
No, we're not gonna
No,
pull up.
Well, it's still falling under mutual aid.
But his position on the board too is another issue. Like,
Yeah.
Well, the other question is, talk about this, is if we're talking about we got a temporary problem, then we got a long-range problem. We know we got Kaicaster, I think it was called the Reserve, and then that other subdivision, the 34th, those all want to be with us. And there was many voters that showed up that were turned away. I was there when several of them did. The other question is that this was the first step. We took over half of Wilson County. Now we're gonna take over a larger portion of it. And if, many of the like thought with me is that we need one countywide EMS situation. And this is probably the best footprint out there. We, compared to the services of VSD, don't wanna criticize them or anything, but they're not quite to the standard of what y'all are, that, from my experience with them. But the question getting us in is if we have many other areas that are covered by volunteers and other stuff that would like to have or be part of ES3 or have this type of service, being specifically, say, the Poth area. Would it not be wise for us as a board to do some planning? What is our long-range plans? Do we want to take these over areas and do we want to go by step, or do we want to try to do it all at one time? We're going to meet some oppositions out of Floresville and the ones who are making their living by providing EMS service in these unincorporated areas. But should we not sit down with a plan and either do it in phases or talk about what is our long-range deal? What do we want to accomplish? Do we want a countywide EMS? Do we want 2/3 of it? You know, what is gonna be best for the citizens and best for this organization?
And if I may say something to that, I mean, of course, this is my opinion, and this is what I would advise on to the board, but, planning is how it needs to be done, but it also needs to be done, in my opinion, we would have to do that in phases. It would be suicide to do all of it at one time.
And I don't think this board can do it. I almost think we even need to appoint a group or ask the commissioners of court to appoint a group to look into it. Because the way the law is reads, we have to be petitioned.
Yes, we have to
can't-
petition.
We can't go out and, you know, rouse up the public to.
Yeah, we can't even be,
You're absolutely correct.
look
We have
like
to
we're
petition.
asking them
Yes.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about it is if you have to be petitioned, but y'all need to have,
Plans.
feel it is, what do you want that petition to say?
Yeah, because ultimately, it's not gonna be Commissioner's Court that's annexing, it's gonna be this board that's annexing, has to make that decision. So we have to have the plan in place, should we be presented with a petition on how this board is gonna proceed.
But I think we need to have a group of citizens who can help us make that decision, who can bring that to us.
And we talked about that, I think, a couple of meetings ago, to have a strategic planning committee.
That maybe reports to somebody, maybe reports to you.
Okay, I don't really don't think it needs to be within this board, it needs to be without it, because if it's within this board, then you're going and looking like we're trying to go get them. So it's gotta be without.
Or do we need to then
Work
bring,
through us, but
get
not-
that on this conversation, get being him the commissioner, most of this area, bring him in to find out what his opinion is, 'cause I know he's kind of the like thought of what we're talking about here. And then set up another group to go out and make this happen.
Look like maybe some town halls or something.
Yeah.
Maybe just-
And I'd be more than happy to be involved with the town halls and to talk to those citizens.
We kind of walk a thin line, because we're often criticized for being too aggressive and then criticized, but on the other side for not being aggressive enough, for not doing something. And the criticism that's come from over here is always just immediate, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever we do, there's some criticism. So.
We were in Commissioner's Court, and I tried to emphasize it, I said, we've had always, and it's always been that way in this county, it's us and them. I said, it's no longer us and them, it's just us. And you can't, until you can get to that situation, which in my opinion, we need a countywide deal, as I've been told, I won't live long enough to see that, but until we think it's us, and the rest of the county thinks it's us, we'll never get that. And in order to, you want those taxes low, that's just the way you're gonna get it low, it's that way, and you want the service. But I'm like David, it's gonna have to be a phase thing, it can't, there's no entity around that can handle that all at one time. And like I said, with the long range, it's gonna have to have a long range planning committee, and like I said, I think that needs to be out of us, I don't think we even need to be on one of those long, they need to present it to us, but I'm afraid with the way the law, Texas state law reads, if we were any part of that, it would look like we're going, trying to get those people to do
I
it.
think somebody does need to be included, you know, somebody.
Yes, because here's the thing,
Board.
because if you get presented with a petition that includes the rest of the county, okay, you're gonna have to make a decision.
Says, oh, yeah,
Okay,
so-
and so now that we can't go adding area to a petition, okay, we can't do that. Now, however, the board, okay, could take that petition with that map, and now they can reduce
Right.
the size of it. But now, if you had a committee or whatnot of citizens, you know, that wanted to be included in the district or whatnot, and wanted to do some long-term planning, now, you know, over the course of the next 5 years or whatever it may, you could highlight areas, you know, year one, we're gonna petition District 3 for this area, we're gonna petition District 3 for this area, you know, but you're doing it in phases, you're doing it in little blocks, because here's the problem. If you take a new annex, if a citizen presents you with an annex, and the map includes the entire county, all right, and it passes, okay, the board takes it as it is, and they move forward with an election, and it passes, guess what?
2 years before you gonna
You
get the money.
now are responsible for it legally,
Can a
okay?
petition have a date on
Can the petition have a date on it?
it? I mean, a date as to when it would be taken over, or does it have to be immediate?
Yeah. Well, as soon as the election happens, okay, and it passes, the district's legally responsible for it. It's just like over here in the Vernia area, okay? whenever this election passed, this last go around here.
And you immediately
they're now
have 2 years
legally
waiting
responsible
on
for
tax
that.
money.
Yeah.
So, and that's, that'd be.
So with that said, we, if this isn't planned out the way that it should be, and a large area is annexed and is successful, we become legally responsible for it,
Before we can afford it.
that's what we're getting at. It needs to be done in
Look at
phases.
the whole picture, because you got response times, everything else.
Those different.
You can't drop just because you took it in a larger area.
We'd almost have to
So
keep
you
somebody from, hold off petitions.
Well,
Well, I think committees are great, but I think there needs to be some sort of involvement, whether it's just me,
Yeah,
or,
well,
The
that's,
code says-
it's gonna ultimately, but you're not part of the board.
I understand, and
So legally, in my part, legally, you could do that. I think with us,
Yeah.
anybody on the board would be,
The
I don't know,
code
we just have to look at
says,
the legal part of it.
the code says on the committees generally that there should be at least one member of the board, never more than 2. But that would be, we could plan there, like David's saying, we don't want to plan on going and try to fill this place again, but we plan on what we would do and whether we could take them and when we could take them on.
As long as we're
But
gonna
I'm-
do that, I'm for that.
Right, one,
They just,
yeah.
when you go look at all the stuff that they hold us to, it's hard to know when you're right and when you're wrong sometimes.
I know, and then, but like David said, we can't be involved in going and saying. hey,
Yeah, annexing.
The knowledge is power, and we've gotta have the knowledge so that when these things come to us, we can make intelligent decisions, not emotional ones, and not get ourselves overloaded, and yet at the same time, do everything we can to be the best servants of the citizens in the most efficient way.
That goes for the financial community too, I think both of those are really important. Good discussion.
So, I know it's on the agenda, so I guess we'll put it on the agenda for the,
Any other discussion?
Moment.
Well, thank you, Scott.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm sorry you're in the position you're in. I still, like I say, I think we, if nothing else covered under mutual aid stuff, I'm like y'all, kind of ridiculous, somebody waiting on the ambulance, and when they get there, they've driven past us, but I don't, for the immediate future.
We're not gonna stop at your driveway.
No, we won't.
I had to drag myself out to the middle of the street.
Get across the street.
Any property in ESV3, you could buy a little piece of property.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
That would solve everything.
Just don't get sick over where you live, just get
Yeah.
over